Here we are today, patching drywall in my teenage son's room. I'm going to make some blowout patch. Here I have two of the sections already cut out, and I have the numbers that I want to make my blowout patches. So what you do is measure one way, you add a total of 2 inches, measure the other way and add a total of 2 inches. So when you make the blowout patch, you have your paper flange an inch over all the way around, so you can use your quick mud to set it in there. I have the 3 blowout patches marked. I'm going to cut these out, and then I will cut the back of them. With the full size of your blowout patch cut, turn it over to the back side and measure an inch in all the way around. Now what you do is you cut all those lines, score them a couple times with a good utility blade to each line. You don't have to cut all the way through because we're going to snap these, and I'll show you that. So we have that all scored now with the utility knife all the way around. Next thing we do is take your thumb, hold your knuckle behind the front side of the paper there, because when you snap this, you want to try not to tear any of the paper. You have that there, like that. And then from the inside there, like that, just start to peel that off the paper. And that gives you a nice, that's your lip. You'll mud this in. You want to clean this off too. Get it as flat as possible so you don't have to build your mud out too much when you're finishing. So do this all the way around till you get all 4 sides.
And then we don't want to tear the paper, so kind of take your time pulling it off there.
And that leftover gypsum on there, the thing that I do, I'll take a utility knife like this, close the blade, and use this part and just kind of rub against it on a hard surface.
To get the excess out. It gets all the high leftover gypsum off, so it doesn't build up your patching.
Still see it on there, but it's a lot smoother there. We have our blowout patches cut. Next thing we're going to do is dry fit everything and make sure we don't have to trim anything before we mix up our quick mud. Once we mix that mud up, we want to work with it right away because I'm using 20-minute mud here. So we'll just check all these. See, this lip will act as a tape joint, and the quick mud, the 20-minute mud and other quick muds are a lot harder when they dry than the regular drywall compound, so that's why it's good to use them for first coats, your tape joints and all that. not all the time, but in smaller applications where you're just doing a couple patch jobs, it works good. Okay, everything fits good, so I'm gonna mix up that quick. I mix up this quick mud. This is sheetrock Easy Sand 20. I'll mix it up in a 2.5 gallon bucket, but for now I'm going to mix it up in my mud pan. So first I'll just put a little bit of water in there because I don't like to put the dry mix directly in the bottom because then it gets super clumpy. Take the 20-minute mud over the sink, all over the kitchen. And dump it in there. Probably going to end up throwing a bit away out of this pan when I'm done, but I'd rather have too much at one time than too little and then have to go mix in the middle of taping and all that. So I have a total of 4 patches. I have those 3 blowouts, and then I have another one that I'm going to be taping, and I'll show you that then. That's about what I got in there. It's like half full in the pan. So I'm going to put a little more water in there, cold water. And I'm just going to mix it with the 4-inch knife here. Kind of let that water go back and forth. They get kind of clumpy. Get it all over your kitchen. Add a little more water. You don't want to make it too wet and runny, because then you'll have mud all over the place. Just keep mixing. This stuff doesn't set up in exactly 20 minutes. I'd say half hour. But once it starts setting up in your pan, it's done. There ain't no turning back. I like to make it pasty, a little thin, but not too runny. Now it's not going to be as smooth as bucket mud. No matter how much you try, even if you're using a mixer, you're not going to get all the clumps out, which is fine, because this is not meant to be used as a finished mud. Some guys may use it as a finished mud, but I don't. And once it gets mixed pretty good, keep working it back and forth. About that consistency right there. Out. What I will do is I'll get this on all around here. Don't worry about putting too much on because you'll get that out in the next step. So what I also do is I like to get mud on the edges here too, just to help it stick a bit. Give it a little more strength, especially when you get into bigger patches. I don't like to do these blowout patches real big. Like the one I have on the other side over here, that's probably a little bigger than I like to do. Normally when you get in to too big of a piece, it starts to get weak and it doesn't adhere too good. So in that case, you want to cut your drywall out, center of a stud to the center of another stud, and screw it in and use tape. You go around like this, squeeze that mud out. Do the same thing with the next one. Do the same thing with this. Just coat right over the gypsum edge behind your paper there. Give you a little extra mud and holding power. And then realistically, before put any other mud on this, I usually wait 45 minutes to an hour after my last patch, and then I start getting the next coat of mud on it. Make sure it's set in there. Press your edges a little bit. Then we go to the next one. We do the same thing. And like I said, this is probably the max size I would go if you're confident in your abilities of drywall and mudding. If not, try to keep it smaller than this. Total size of this one is about 13 by 15, and that's including the 1-inch paper edge there. So I would try to keep it smaller if possible. If you get bigger than that, again, just go, see there's a stud right here, just cut in the center of the stud, find your next stud and get to the center of that, and then you could just screw a piece of drywall on the side there, and you can always throw a couple loose pieces of 2x4 in there too and screw that in to help get everything tight. Then you just screw to your stud and then you tape everything, and that's a bit stronger. Butter the back of this. this to dry because I gotta go downstairs and tape the other one. Okay. So I got push it in there a little bit with your fingers. Yep, got a little tear there. Just get all the excess mud off when you're squeezing it out there. If you have any buildup, you can very lightly sand it off before you get your next coat on. Okay. This one here was definitely a bigger damaged area of the drywall. So I found center of the two studs on the widest part of the damage, and I squared everything up, cut it out, and then fastened the drywall to all the studs that were there. So we'll take the paper tape, we'll get that on there. I get that like right in the middle of the 4-inch knife there. Just kind of follow right over top of the joint. Starting to get a bit thick here. And you want to have your, using paper tape or whatever tape, have it all pre-sized, pre-ripped, pre-cut before you put it on, so it's not hindering your mud time there. Make sure you're covering your joint. Put it on there with your hand. Lightly go over it at first to get it to stick. Don't try to push too hard right away, because then it'll make your paper wrinkle. So after you get it to stick, you can run over it with a little more pressure. When I put this paper tape on, it has a seam on it. You can use this for inside corners. So the way I put it over these joints is so that the inverted part is going into your crack there. Into the seam of the two pieces of drywall. Just a little bit of pressure when you're first getting it on there. Okay, 2 more small pieces and then we can let things dry for a bit, clean up, and then we'll get some other mud on there. If you have some extra spacing, like I did a little bit around here, when you're getting your mud for under your tape on, make sure that you fill that in good with the hot mud there, quick mud. Normally, when you're taping drywall, you don't cross over 2 tape joints. You wait till the other one's dry, but this is a quicker repair that we're doing here. And this mud is going to be feathered out, so not too worried about that part there. Okay, that is okay. For our next step, we're going to use a 12-inch knife. Make sure it has a taper on it. We're going to use this on all the patches. Just make sure it's nice and clean. When doing any drywall work, make sure you have a wash bucket and a rag to keep your tools clean. When I was a young lad and my father was teaching me how to do drywall, mudding on the job there, he would have me clean all the pans and all the knives, you know, with a sanding sponge. I guess he didn't like me and didn't want to tell me about the wash bucket. But anyway, I've seen him use it before and I learned as I got older. So we're going to take this extremely undersized mixing bit that is pretty much for grout. And I'm using blue lead mud here. I am not a full-time finish guy, so they might argue that you use a different mud, but this is what I'm using. So I'm going to take a little bit of water into my mud bucket. This is about half used up already. I'm going to take a little dish soap, mix in there too. That just helps to keep your air bubbles out when you're spreading your mud. Put your drill on low.
If you have a bigger drywall mixing bit, you can use that. But I believe this one I use for grout. So hopefully there's not tile grout bits in the drywall mud.
Clean your bit off in your wash bucket. Leave it in there. Then we're going to load up the pan. They make bucket scoopers too that are nice sometimes. I usually use this 4-inch knife to just keep putting the mud in the pan. Now this coat will take at least 24 hours to dry. You can help accelerate the drying time by keeping good airflow in the room with a fan. I would still wait until the next day to get another coat on. This is just going to be our base coat. See? Not too watered down. These patches are dry, nice and solid. Now we're going to check the taper of our knife. So your bow should be right in the middle so your edges are fully touching. This isn't the best knife, but it works. Get it on there pretty thick first. Going over both of these patches since they're right next to each other. I'm just going to make it one big patch. Use the edge of your knife, kind of come in like an airplane landing. Get the tops real clean. Don't press too hard when you're doing this, just kind of let the knife glide. Keep in mind you're going to do more on it later. Again, get it on there nice and thick first. Go a good bit past where the end of your paper is. Top, bottom, and sides. try to get it perfect on this base coat. Get it fairly feathered into the next coat. And check the cup of your knife there. Son of a... Oh, got a hitchhiker. Sometimes you will get those chunks in your mud. Okay, that's not as good as I like it, but again, that's the first base coat. Put a little more in there. Okay, I'm going to let that one go for now. When I come back to it, before I get another coat on, I will sand the ridges. I will feather it out a bit more because you can see the tape edges and you don't want to see that. And when you get around these boxes, especially if they're sticking out of the wall like this one is, whoever put that in didn't set it in. They're supposed to be flush with the drywall or set a little bit behind. Anyway, that makes it more difficult too.